Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Parrott-Adkins, Chief Operating Officer of the Aesthetic Medical Buying Group MedResults Network. And on behalf of myself at MedResults and our guests from Compound Preferred, we want to thank you all for joining us today. I'll start by saying that today's presentation is long overdue. And it's long overdue because as a GPO, we have not had a partnership with a compounding pharmacy or in that industry for nearly 7 years. So for those of you who know MedResults, you know that that's unheard of for us, as we're always trying to find partners who serve our members in the product and service categories that you guys want and need the most. And certainly compounding has been one of those areas. Compounding in the world of compounding pharmacies has a very unique history, which is why we've stayed out of the space for so long. For those of you who are in business in the early 2010s, you may remember the notorious name New England Compounding Center. And the name New England Compounding Center, NECC, instills, for me, a little bit of fear and angst. Probably for all of us who remember, as they were a pharmacy out of Boston, who lacked the proper quality controls and routinely cut corners with their products. And I think with the FDA, which eventually caused an outbreak and sadly resulted in the deaths of more than 70 people. So in response, the government and the FDA immediately began to take new measures to prevent these types of incidents from ever occurring again. The effect to us and our members, you guys, was that the compounding pharmacies of the past began to quickly disappear at that time. And, unfortunately, it was all due to that newly regulated environment. I know that's a very sobering introduction, but it's important to understand the background of the industry in order to grasp the topic of today's presentation. Quality, in my opinion, is the number one most important thing to consider when selecting, using, or distributing compounded medications and formulations. So we've invited our partners at Compound Preferred here with us today to discuss plainly how to determine compounding quality, both in products and in the partners that you select. I have three incredible speakers here with me today. In no particular order, I'm going to introduce Jennifer White first. And Jennifer heads up the strategic relationships and key account management for the Pharmacies group. She also heads up pharmaceutical sales, strategic partnerships, business development. She does everything and above for Compound Preferred. Jennifer has a Bachelor of Science and a Master of Education and Management and over 15 years of experience in external revenue generation, sales, marketing, fundraising, and capital development. And interestingly, she began in corporate sponsorship sales with the SEC for the University of Georgia Bulldogs and eventually used her expertise for the University of Utah as well. So she's got a very unique past. Also joining us is Casey Hunter, and Casey leads quality assurance and regulatory affairs for Compound Preferred. Casey has more than 10 years of experience in pharmaceutical and medical device quality control and quality assurance. And I'm told he finds satisfaction in regulatory compliance, specifically understanding the requirements and formulating processes and procedures to be compliant with regulations. Previously, Casey was a quality engineer at Teva Pharmaceuticals and Philara Composites. He conducted quality reviews and then eventually moved on to become a quality assurance senior supervisor for Melaleuca. And now Casey ensures Compound Preferred's partners have confidence in quality solutions through a quality management system. He routinely runs investigations and coordinates all testing with an FDA-registered and ISO-accredited laboratory. And finally, Dr. Rob Myers is our third speaker this afternoon. He serves as the operation manager and pharmacist in charge. And Dr. Myers is going to get us started today, but to give you a little bit about his background, he graduated pharmacy school at the University of Kansas and received a PhD in pharmaceutical chemistry. He has over 30 years of varied experience in academic teaching, retail pharmacy, pharmacy compounding, regulatory affairs, and pharmaceutical manufacturing, just to name a few things. Dr. Myers holds a unique view of pharmaceutical products and their development and also regulatory approval. And his career eventually took him from product development and formulation at Allergan, who we all know very well, to Day Laboratories, with a focus on inhalants initially. And these roles familiarized him with FDA regulations and the good manufacturing practice industry, otherwise known as GMP. Dr. Myers continues to teach pharmacokinetics, pharmacology, and compounding courses at the College of Pharmacy at Idaho State University. He also leads the team at Compound Preferred, steering quality product development and custom medication production under 503B regulations. And for those of you who aren't familiar with 503Bs, we will get into that in just a second. But before I turn it over to our speakers, I want to encourage everyone joining us today to participate. Feel free to participate at any time, whether you have feedback, comments, or questions, please type it in the chat box, and we will get to it by the end of the event today. So with that said, I am going to turn it over to Dr. Rob Myers to get us started.
Great. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you so much. It's great to be here today. Excited to talk about these things. And as Jamie said, I've been in the pharma industry sphere, the globe, I was counting up the other day, it's nearly 40 years now. And it's like, yeah, I started when I was 12. So I'm not that old. No, just kidding. But yeah, when I was in pharmacy, I did practice pharmacy throughout my career, and it's come and gone. But right out of school, after my PhD, I went into the pharma industry, and I was a formulator doing new product development. And so that's what I did. And I did those under those guidelines, the good manufacturing practices, GMPs. And Casey will talk about that a little bit more too. But that's where I learned that type of industry and that type of regulation. And after I got done with my industry work, I moved to Idaho and worked in a compounding pharmacy. Guess what you do in compounding pharmacy? You formulate. So it was just very natural for me to do, and I did that for more than 14 years. And that was where I was doing patient-specific compounding, and that was in a pharmacy. Well, for about the last 18 years, I work as a consultant also to the pharma industry, and also as an expert witness for some trials, like legal trials. And so I've done that to do technical and regulatory documents and opinions in that. And it's all through this, I work at ISU, Idaho State University, as a part-time faculty member. I'm half-time, and I do teach a bunch of different things. I teach compounding. Go figure. Who would have thunk I would have done that? So anyway, I do teach in several different courses, and it's fun to interact with the students and prepare new pharmacists for their ventures along their career path and stuff. And then in my free time, I'm like, who am I kidding? What free time? No, I do have free time, and I enjoy other things too. But that's me in a nutshell. And I always introduce myself as the kind of goofy professor, because that's who I am. So let's get into 503A, 503B, compounding preferred, and what we are and stuff. So as Jamie said, the NECC, I call it the NECC debacle. That was when compounding pharmacies were manufacturing, and they were doing it without control. And NECC was not the only episode. There have been episodes that have hurt people from people manufacturing instead of compounding in a pharmacy setting. And so NECC, I call the straw that broke the camel's back. And we were very disheartened by that. And it really took a lump to compounding, as Jamie said. So because of that, in 2013, a new law was created. It finally got into law. There's a lot of history back behind it, but a new section was deemed 503B out of the Federal Food and Drug and Cosmetic Act. And so it produced a new company, and it's called an outsourcing facility. And that's what we are at Compound Preferred. I don't like to consider ourselves a compounding pharmacy, because I consider those separate. Those are different than we are. So this law made a new type of company. And what it did is it meshed that GMP regulation with pharmacy compounding. And so my expertise got to be meshed together. So a 503B was natural for me. We are located in Idaho Falls, Idaho. And when we were looking to start this, we were looking around for different buildings and places where we could make this facility. And there really wasn't anything suitable. So my wife and I actually started this venture many years ago, several years ago, and it was decided that we just needed to build it from the ground up. And so that's what we did. We built a GMP facility on a site just designed to do this, modeled after my experience in pharma, modeled after the clean rooms, after the product flow, the design of the whole facility was based on my experience, my 15 years experience in industry. So even our clean room design and setup is designed that way. And when the FDA came in for our very first inspection, the microbial person, the microbiologist that came to inspect our clean room told me, he said, this is one of the best clean rooms I've seen in the country in this type of facility. And so I was pretty happy about that. And then our clean room, we monitor we monitor for microbes. We don't want microbes in our clean room because we don't want microbes in our product. So we monitor for that all the time. We monitor for viable and non-viable particulates, which are in the regulations. And so we do all of this stuff to keep our products safe. And that's what we do in our clean room suite anyway. And so, like I said, my wife and I started this as it was called Ram Pharma back then. And then last year we had a marvelous thing happen. We got to merge into the Pharmacies group, and that was an awesome blessing for us. And so now we have this fabulous facility with the backing of a strong company, and we are a 503B outsourcing facility. Give you a little bit of direction where 503B fits into the pharmaceutical spectrum is we have at the top, I call the big pharma, Pfizer, Glaxo, Merck, those types of companies. Those are the big pharma companies. They have very heavy regulated control on them. At the bottom, we have the 503A compounding pharmacy. And that's where, unfortunately, at times, they have little to no control on their product or their processes. It's not to say across the board that it's like that, but there have been many times that's happened, like the NECC, and that creates a lot of bad press, bad reputation for compounding. And like Jamie said, they didn't have anything to do with compounding for 7 years because of stuff like that. So that type of compounding pharmacy does the compounding. They're supposed to do the compounding just in very small scales, just one prescription at a time. And that's their realm. And they need to do that. There is a need for that. The 503B sits in the middle. And that's where we are. The outsourcing facility has the GMP controls of big pharma with the ability to produce those types of products that aren't commercially available. They're not an approved product, or they're not available. And the other advantage of a 503B outsourcing facility is that the office does not need to write patient-specific prescriptions. We can dispense, or we can produce for office use. And that's a big distinction. So at Compound Preferred, just with our background and our expertise that we have here, we are a resource for product information, for how to use the products, the instructions that we need to use them, any kind of warnings or such that may be needed, the ingredient breakdowns, what's in this stuff. And we also do all of this just to help guide patient treatment and care. And so that's the bottom line. And another plug for Compound Preferred is they have me, which is the old guy that has a lot of experience and able to answer technical questions. And if I don't know it, I'll find it out. But I'm here. I'm available for questions and to draw on my unique pharma experience. So with that, I will turn it over to Casey.
Thanks, Rob. Hello, everyone. I am Casey, as was mentioned. I am the quality manager, regulatory affairs manager here at Compound Preferred. And, you know, I get asked, well, how do you get into quality assurance? And it happened for me kind of organically. 20 years ago, I started out in surgery, and I graduated as a surgical tech, scrub tech. And with that, you're in control of the sterile field, aseptic technique, and all this associated to protecting the patient that's in the operation. And that kind of tied really well into doing sterile product testing. So about 12 years ago, I went to a laboratory and I started out in the clean room using that same aseptic technique to work in this clean room, testing sterile products, testing sterile med devices, those types of things to ensure sterility, verify sterility. And with that experience, I was introduced to quality assurance. And so it just seemed like a natural fit. 11 years ago, over 11, almost 12 years ago, I hired on with Teva Pharmaceuticals, who at the time was the world's largest generic manufacturer of pharmaceutical products. And Allergan was brought up previously, and Teva actually made a bad financial decision. But anyways, they bought all of Allergan's generics, or several of their generics. And so that opened up an opportunity for me to work at the previous Allergan site in Salt Lake City. So I worked at a couple of different Teva facilities, started off doing just regular product inspections and testing, and then transitioned into release of raw materials and artwork review and approval, and moved up into performing investigations and doing management level review and approval of investigations, gap analysis, those types of things to really ensure product conformity. With that, I had an opportunity to work in a medical device company for just about a year and see that, and the incredible opportunity to move to Idaho came up. So I moved up to Idaho to work for another OTC pharmaceutical type production facility that also had those supplements, dietary supplements and whatnot. And then I had the opportunity to come to Compound Preferred. And what was interesting to me is that I walk into the interview, and at the time, Compound Preferred has put quality first and foremost from the beginning. And they actually had hired quality consultants to help with, checking everything out that was in the process that Rob had built, and also included in the interview of me. And so I walk into this interview, and this is where it gets to the 503A and 503B kind of distinction. Is they asked me, what's a 503B, and they kept mentioning that. And I was like, I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what a 503B is. And the quality consultant was actually like, well, you worked in pharmaceuticals, 21 CFR, 210, 211, and I can throw like all these CFRs and numbers out at you guys. It's insane what what all of this kind of relates to. And she's like, as long as you know all of the information kind of tied to that, 503B is just a natural fit. And so with that, after that interview, I went home and, of course, I hit the all knowledgeable Google and searched up 503Bs and just to see what it was. And it turns out that there's this really very specific guidance that the FDA has put out for 503Bs to follow. And throughout the entire document, it's referencing 21 CFR 210-211, which is what major manufacturers have to follow. And so not only do the 503Bs, which also 503As, have to register in the state, but they also are we are regulated and registered with the FDA, which is required for us to be able to make products that we're sending out of state. We have to follow the current good manufacturing practices that Rob was speaking to. That's all tied to what's required by the FDA. The thing is 503As don't necessarily have to follow those things. And that's not to say they're making product that is not good, or that, I don't know, it's difficult to explain because they are able to make products, but there's no confirmation that those products are what they say they are. What if a miscalculation happened and the potency is different than what they had thought it was? Human error happens all the time, and without the verification of testing, you can't confirm that that product is what it's supposed to be. So we have to follow those current good manufacturing practices in monitoring our environment, and that's just verifying that the controls in front are working. And if you don't have those controls, then the monitoring will catch that problem. Same with testing and testing results. So these are all things I had experience in at the pharmaceutical level. So everything just fell into place with the opportunity here. As well as one thing that is really pushed, especially in the med device field, but in pharmaceuticals, is continual improvement and making sure that you're using your past data to make changes for future, so that things just continue to get better. So actually, after finding all this information, I was actually very surprised about 503A requirements and how little requirements are on 503A production for testing and all of these things, because those are going out to patients. So with the testing, we actually have elected to do the majority of our testing with a third-party testing facility. Our laboratory is an FDA-registered ISO 17025 laboratory that performs all of our real analytical testing of our products. And there's, of course, the goal would be to move all testing in-house, because it's less expensive, you get your results faster. But as I've looked through, so the FDA, as they do inspections, they have observations, they'll issue what's called a Form 483. And that form lists all of the things that they, observe that they think we're not following the guidances. And a lot of those that I've reviewed for other companies, internal testing comes up a lot for finished products, and releasing products that did not pass testing, and having to defend that. Realistically, quality is an outside look into a company. So we're supposed to see ourselves separate from the company, looking at what's produced, and then determining, is this acceptable or not, irregardless of financial cost, all of those things. And when testing's done internally, it makes it a little more difficult to separate that distinction. And so there might be a conflict of interest there, and that's kind of what I could see in the 483s with products being released that didn't pass testing and whatnot. So with our third-party testing facility, I worked in a lab that was 17025, certified FDA registered. And I saw those regulations and I saw those audits happening, and I saw all of those things regarding controls around this laboratory to ensure that their testing is correct. And so that just seemed like this is the way we need to go with our products. And so one question that, you know, if wherever you're getting products, if it's not from us, that's one thing to ask them, because a lot of these manufacturers may not have their laboratory, their internal laboratory ISO certified, or registered as an FDA registered laboratory. And so that's one thing to that might give you a bearing on the testing that's being performed. And that's not to say, again, that they're not following the USPs or United States Pharmacopoeia's guidances and whatnot for testing. It's just, I like that assurance that that is being performed at the laboratory that we're using. So one of the mantras for Compound Preferred is confidence and quality. And the way I also look at that is that it means quality by design. So you're setting yourself up for success from the very beginning. You're looking at those things that you know you're going to need on the back end in advance, and that's also one of the requirements in the CFRs or in the CGMPs, is that you have all of these controls around everything that you're doing. And that just tied so well with the controls around the operating room. And so with the quality by design, it's just, you're making sure that your controls are in place. So on the back end, everything works out, the testing verifies and the monitoring verifies that everything that you've done is correct and acceptable. And so this is the way we have our confidence in quality. And if you have any questions, you know, I'd like to hear from you. I'm going to turn the time over to Jen now.
Hello, all. My name is Jennifer White, Senior Account Executive for Compound Preferred. Thank you for joining us today. And Rob, thank you for that wonderful explanation about what 503B outsourcing truly is. That was very well done. And we appreciate this beautiful facility that you have built for us that is to the nines with CGMP standards and environmental monitoring. We sure love our clean facilities and our room to grow in that awesome facility. And we also invite all of you out there in the audience, please, if you're ever in the Idaho Falls area, come visit us, stop by, say hi to us in Idaho Falls, see what we have going on. We'll take you for a tour. We'll introduce you to Rob and Casey. We'll spend some time with you because it's important to us to educate our clients on how we're doing, what we're doing to keep you safe and protect you. And Rob, it's also great to have access to you with your years of experience. All of your experience makes you sound like you're about 100 years old, but we appreciate all of that experience and your work as a professor and your history and experience in formulating and compounding. So thank you for being that great educational resource as well as compounder. Casey, that was wonderful. That was a great explanation of what a quality assurance team does, why you exist, and the fact that you are literally here to protect the practitioners that use our products and the patients that they're applied to. Really understanding the value of having a third-party laboratory test the products was really, really interesting as well. So thank you for that fantastic explanation of quality assurance. So in recapping what we've learned from Rob and Casey, I hope that the audience understands the questions they should be asking with whatever compounding facility they're using. Make sure you should have several questions that you've taken notes on by now, but make sure you're asking, who's the pharmacist that's compounding my products? Kind of what's their background and experience? So you feel confident that you have someone who knows what they're doing. You know, ask what the FDA designation is. Find out, am I using a 503A or are you a 503B outsourcing? So a good answer to that question would be whether or not you're having to write a prescription to get your products, or if they're able to just send them to you as a licensed practitioner. Make sure you're asking the guidelines that they're adhering to within their facilities. during the compounding process. Are they using a clean room? Are they following CGMP standards? Ask about their processes. Do they have the right equipment to be compounding for your needs in your product? Ask about where and how they're testing each batch of their products. So like Casey mentioned, the validation that you have made the product you think you made is extremely important, especially as a licensed practitioner when you're using this in office and applying it to patients. So really ask about their testing process, and then ask, where it's being tested. Do you do internal testing, or are you sending it to a third party FDA registered laboratory? Just make sure you have the answers to that question so you have confidence in what you're using. And ask if they also provide access to education with their products. I think one of the challenges with compounded products is that when you receive it, you don't necessarily have information to go with it. What is this used for? What are the contraindications? How do I apply it? And so we make sure that you get an informational pamphlet with every product we send you. So you do know what's in the product, what's it's expected to do, how to apply it, all those things we provide you with. So make sure that you're also getting that information and you know how to use the compounded products that you're receiving. So to kind of reiterate and recap where we are 503B Outsourcing Facility. We offer prescription strength compounded medications directly to licensed practitioners for in-office use on multiple patients without requiring prescriptions. So that'll also make your life much easier without having to write a script for everything that you need to get. I am here to talk about another extremely important pillar to us. Obviously, our experience in compounding correctly and testing the products that we do and making sure we have great quality controls are our top priorities. But our third pillar that's just as equally as important to us is customer service. We're here to serve you, to meet your needs. And we want to get to know you and what your needs are, because your needs are unique and we want to serve those needs. And so we like to operate in a consultant role where we're conversating, how much of this do you need? How often is your usage? When do you need the next batch to arrive? Is there a different product? Do we need to refine or make something else to meet your needs? So for us, getting to know our clients, building that relationship, and really understanding your needs is extremely important to us. We service multiple industries, not just the medical spa and aesthetics industries. We service all sorts of other industries, from ophthalmology to dental and we offer compounded products to all licensed practitioners. We even offer private label opportunities. If you're thinking about a custom compound that you'd like to make and dispense in office, let us know. Let's talk about it. Let's hear what your ideas are. Our product line specifically for the medical spa industry and our aesthetic doctors would be the most relevant products are going to be our high quality compounds that include our BLT creams, our numbing cream. So we have a benzocaine, lidocaine, tetracaine cream that's really nice, and an LT ointment, a lidocaine tetracaine ointment that's 23% lidocaine and 7% tetracaine for those harder to numb clients or for those more invasive or deep penetrating microneedling services. We're also launching a full line of sterile and vitamin IV injectables here soon. We have great from B12 to Myers cocktails to Mick. We'll have a full line of IV and vitamin injections available soon. And the best part of each of those products that you receive is that you'll get an educational information packet with it. You'll see exactly what's in it, what the warnings are, how to use it, how to apply it, and all those things. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to myself or you can reach out to Rob, and we will gladly answer those questions for you and instruct you how to properly apply it and provide training if you're interested. So I think before we go any further and we talk about ordering with Compound Preferred, are there any questions from the audience that's watching? Any questions for Rob, our expert pharmacist, or Casey, our incredible quality control manager, or myself? Do we see anything? I don't see anything up in the chat. So I don't think we've had any live questions come in. You can always email me. I want to talk a little bit about ordering with Compound Preferred. So we have, we like to customize our ability to order to meet your needs. Do you prefer to order over the phone? Do you want to just shoot me an email? Do you want to do it online? We like to customize that. So for more information on, visit our website, hop on compoundpreferred.com, look at some of our products, and you can either fill out a form fill on the website, or you can go ahead and email me at jenniferw@compoundpreferred.com, or my phone number is 208-419-0613, extension 207. That gets you directly to me. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about what you're looking for, what your needs, and how we can support you and your business. As an MRN member, you'll get quarterly rebates from ordering with us. So all you have to do is place an order, and then every quarter a check will arrive from MRN Network with your rebates from the items that you've purchased from us. And so it's very easy to just get money back in your pocket through ordering for us. Because we do not require prescriptions, we only require a copy of your medical director's license. So as a medical spa, you need to have a doctor, a medical director, or someone that has prescriptive authority, so that we can prove to the FDA that we are only selling directly to licensed practitioners. Once we have a copy of that medical director's license on file, we can ship you whatever you need, and we can set up recurring orders. We can meet your timelines, consult with you on what your needs are. That's about all I have. Rob, Casey, why doesn't everyone pop in and let me know if they have any follow-up items that they've missed or would like to add in?
Well, if nobody has anything to add, I was monitoring our questions. We didn't get any live questions in the chat, but routinely I get them after the event. And again, if you think of something that we haven't addressed today, or you'd like one of our gracious speakers here today to answer a question or speak with you directly, you can also reach out to me personally at jamie@medresultsnetwork.com. I want to thank the three of you for joining us today. Rob, Casey, Jennifer, this was some great information for our members. And just to reiterate, I think the take-home message here today is that product quality is critical, but partner quality is just as important. And so know who you're working with, know all of the great questions that Jennifer mentioned, ask all of them, and be sure that the company that you're working with, whether it's a 503A, whether it's a 503B, or it's compound preferred, ask those hard questions to understand fully what you're getting out of the products that you're going to be purchasing and delivering to your patients. Again, if you have any questions, contact Jennifer, contact myself. There's a little offer here on the side. If you want to click the button, it'll take you directly to Compound Preferred's website. You can check out their product line there and just peruse the site to learn a little bit more about what a 503B does. Thank you so much for your time, and we hope to see you all on our next educational webinar. Take care and have a great rest of your day.